Clerk, do you have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
The Senate has commenced this morning, and we are off with a quorum bell. The kicking off of the quorum bell with a directive of 10 minutes as given by the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Kathure Murungi, is to allow for senators who are yet to make their way into the chamber this morning to do exactly that, to allow the House to raise the quorum required to commence business this morning, as we need at least 15 senators according to the House standing orders. So senators, as you can see on your screens, are making their way into the chamber this morning to give the House that requisite number to commence business. A procedural motion this morning will be moved on the limitation of debate on motions. These procedural motion will by the lead of the majority party, that pursuant to standing orders number 111 subsection 1 of the Senate, the House resolves that a debate on a motion not sponsored by the lead of the majority party or the minority party or a committee shall be limited to a maximum of 3 hours, with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority leader, 20 minutes for the minority party responder, and 15 minutes for each senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. So this is basically a motion setting the speed for the House business that is officially commencing today, after the House resumed its normal sitting yesterday, with the business being prioritized, being the formation of the House Business Committee, which the senators passed yesterday. And so that gave the green light to the House to commence the consideration of a number of business. The other procedural motion is a limitation of debate on a motion on President's address to Parliament, where the Senate leader of the majority party is proposing that, pursuant to standing orders of the House, standing orders number 27, subsection 6, the Senate resolves that the debate on a motion on President's address to Parliament shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days and not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying. The House will this morning consider a number of bills. Among them is the Early Childhood Education Bill, this being an amendment to the existing Early Childhood Education Bill, Senate Bills number 54 of the year 2023. This bill is being sponsored at the Senate by Senator Eddie Okech, and it is currently at the Committee of the Whole stage, this being the third reading of the bill, where senators usually vote for the amendments proposed in the bill that is before the Committee of the Whole. The Senate this morning will equally be considering the report of the Mediation Committee on the Conflict of Interest Bill. This is National Assembly Bills number 12 of the year 2023 by the Vice Chairperson, a Mediation Committee, the report of the Standing Committee on Matters Education on a petition to the Senate regarding the Discrimination by Teacher Service Commission, TSC, on the payment of hardship and enhanced house allowances to some teachers in Kilifi and Taita Taveta counties. This is a motion by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Matters Education, who until now happens to be the senator for Murang'a County, but remember, given priority this morning is a motion that is seeking to disband the existing committees, where we'll be expecting rearrangements of chairpersons and members of various committees moving forward, this being the fourth session of the Senate. And remember, the term of each committee is about 3 years after a general election, and the time is ripe for the reconstitution of the committees at Parliament. The report of the Standing Committee on Matters Agriculture and Livestock and Fisheries on a petition to the Senate regarding the catastrophic maize diseases that farmers in Bomet County have endured for the last 12 years is a report for consideration by the Senate this morning. This report is being spearheaded by the chairperson, a Standing Committee on Matters Agriculture and Livestock, as well as Fisheries, on behalf of his committee members. The current chairperson for the Committee for Agriculture is the Senator for Kirinyaga County, Senator James Murango. Equally, Senator Murango, on behalf of his Committee on Matters Agriculture, will also be seeking to have the Senate consider the report of the Standing Committee on the Committee on Agriculture and Livestock on a petition to the Senate regarding the graft investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, on the West Kano irrigation scheme. The Committee on Matters Trade, currently chaired by the Senator for Kajiado County, Senator Seki Ole Kanar, has a motion this morning on matters, a petition to the Senate on alleged fraudulent dealings at Diageo PLC and East African Breweries Limited, Kenya Breweries and UDV Kenya Limited. This petition is expected to be considered by the Senate in a report after the committee investigated the cases of fraudulent dealings.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
I will be making that communication shortly after the messages.
Order number 3, messages.
Honorable Senators, you bear with me. I have several messages to go through, and you must be a bit patient with them. Honorable Senators, this is a message from the National Assembly of the Public Finance Management Amendment number 4 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 45 of 2024. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Public Finance Management Amendment number 4 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 45 of 2024. The message dated 6 December 2024 was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on the same date, when the Senate and proceeded on recess. It was subsequently circulated to all senators via letter dated 9th December 2024. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.5, I now report the message. And I quote, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Public Finance Management Amendment number 4 Bill, National Assembly Bills of 45, number 45 of 2024 was published by the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 190 on 1st November 2024 to amend the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A to provide clarity on the effective date for the statutory debt reductions and to prescribe a framework for the implementation of actuarial accounting in government and risk management by government. And whereas the National Assembly considered the said bill and passed it with amendments on Thursday, 20th November 2024, in the form attached here too. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 163, which provides that a bill that originates in the National Assembly be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by the way of first reading, in accordance with Standing Order 144, the Public Finance Management Amendment Number 4 Bill, National Assembly Bills Number 45 for 2024, will be read a first time as listed in the order paper for this morning sitting. I thank you. Another one is still a message from the National Assembly, which is passed by the National Assembly of the Public Finance Management Amendment Number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bills Number 44 of 2024. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Public Finance Management Amendment Number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bills Number 44 of 2024. The message dated 5th December 2024 was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on the same date when the Senate and proceeded on recess. It was subsequently circulated to all senators via letter dated 6th December 2024. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.5, I now report the message. And I quote, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Public Finance Management Amendment Number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bills Number 44 of 2024 was published via the Kenya Gazette Supplement Number 189 of 1st December 2024 to amend the Public Finance Management Act to provide for financial management in the transfer of functions between the two levels of government pursuant to Article 187 of the Constitution. And whereas the National Assembly considered the said bill and passed it with amendments on Tuesday, 28 November 2024, in the form attached here too. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 163, which provides that a bill that originates in the National Assembly be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with Standing Order 144, the Public Finance Management Amendment Number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bills Number 44 of 2024 will be read a first time as listed in the order paper for this morning sitting. This is another message, again from the National Assembly, which is passed by the National Assembly of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills Number 48 of 2024. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills Number 48 of 2024. The message dated 6th December 2024 was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on the same date when the Senate and proceeded to recess. It was subsequently circulated to all senators via letter dated 9th December 2024. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.5, I now report the message. Senator Enoch Kwambua, find the nearest seat. But if you sit where it's Democrat and Deputy Minority Leader, it will be better for you. So, pursuant to Standing Order 46.5, I report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 48 of 2024, was published by the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 194 of 1st November 2024 as a bill seeking to amend the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, Cap 412C, to inter alia prescribe the threshold of procurement that shall be exclusively set aside for local farms, and also require all procuring entities to set out specific goods, works, and services to be undertaken by a local farm in joint venture procurement. And whereas on Thursday, 20th November 2024, the National Assembly considered and passed the said bill with amendments and in the form attached hereto. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. So, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 163, which provides that a bill that originates in the National Assembly be proceeded with the Senate, by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by your first reading, in accordance with Standing Order 144. The Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 48 of 2024, will be read the first time as listed in the order paper for this morning sitting. This is the last one, another message from the National Assembly, passed by the National Assembly Bill of the Cooperatives Bill, National Assembly Bills number 7 of 2024. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Cooperatives Bill, National Assembly Bills number 7 of 2024. The message dated 16th January 2025 was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on the same date when the Senate was on recess. It was subsequently circulated to all senators via letter dated 17th January 2025. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.5, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Cooperatives Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2024 was published by the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 32 of 9th February 2024 to provide for the establishment of the Office of the Commissioner for Cooperative Development at the national level of government and the Office of the County Director for Cooperatives in each county government, and to provide for the promotion, registration, and regulation of cooperatives, to provide for intergovernmental cooperative relations and for connected purposes. And whereas the National Assembly considered the said bill and passed it on 3rd December 2024 with amendments in the form attached hereto. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 163, which provides that a bill that originates in the National Assembly be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate for your first reading in accordance with Standing Order 144, the Cooperatives Bill, National Assembly Bills number 7 of 2024 will be read the first time as listed in the order paper for this morning sitting. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 3, petitions. Order number 4, petitions.
Next
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader, you have a number of papers to read.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, the 12th February 2025. Session of paper number 1 of 2025 on the foreign policy of the Republic of Kenya. 2, the Civil Aviation Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation Regulations Notice number 5 of 2024. Commission on Revenue Allocation, recommendations on the county government's recurrent expenditure budget ceilings for financial year 2025-2026. The Commission on Revenue Allocation recommendations on the fourth basis for revenue sharing among the county governments for financial year 2025-2026 to 2029-2030. The Auditor General report on the county government's county executives for financial year 2023 to 2024, Volume 1. The Auditor General's report on the county government's county assemblies for 2023-2024, Volume 2. The report of the Office of the Control of Budget on the National Government Budget Implementation Review for the first quarter for financial year 2024-2025. The Judicial Service Commission Annual Report for financial year 2023-2024. The Kenya Law Reforms Commission Annual Report for the financial year 2023-2024. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission Annual Report and Financial Statements for financial year 2022-2023. The Council of Governors Annual Statutory Report for 2023-2024. The Public Service Commission Annual Report for financial year 2023-2024. The Public Service Commission Report on Citizen Satisfaction and Impact Evaluation on Service Delivery in Public Institutions. The Public Service Commission 13th Report on the status of the compliance of the public service with values and principles in Articles 10 and 232 of the Constitution. The 4th Medium-Term Plan 4, 2023-2027 booklet by the National Treasury and Economic Planning, State Department for Economic Planning. The National Reporting Indicator Handbook for the 4th Medium-Term Plan 2023-2027 by the National Treasury and Economic Planning, State Department for Economic Planning. The National Reporting Indicator Handbook for 4th Medium-Term Plan 4, 2023-2024 by the National Treasury and Economic Planning, State Department for Economic Planning, and the 4th Medium-Term Plan 2023-2027 booklet, popular version, by the National Treasury and Economic Planning, State Department for Economic Planning. I beg to lay. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. Maybe you can realize we have a supplementary on the paper. Maybe if you have not checked, you shouldn't be aware. Before we go to the next order, I want to make this communication. This communication is on the implementation of the resolution of the Senate on the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the conduct of Senator Gloria Orwoba, MP. Honorable Senators, by the way of background, you will recall that on 2nd August 2023, the Committee of Powers and Privileges commenced an inquiry on its own motion into the conduct of Senator Gloria Orwoba, MP. The committee sought to make a determination on whether the conduct of the senator in relation to the publication of allegations by the senator on the Senate Business WhatsApp group constituted a breach of privilege, and if the conduct was found to be a breach of privilege, appropriate recommendations be made in accordance with the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act and the Senate Standing Orders. Honorable Senators, as the Committee of Powers and Privileges was settling down to investigate the matter, Senator Onyonka, you can find your way to the nearest seat. Have your seat, Senator? The nearest one for this matter. This is a long communication, but maybe you shouldn't again be patient with it. So, Honorable Senators, as the Committee of Powers and Privileges was settling down to investigate the matter, Senator Ngiruri Yorobo on 4th August 2023 found a petition in the High Court in Nairobi, being Nairobi High Court petition number E283 of 2023, against the Attorney General, the Clerk of the Senate, the Speaker of the Senate Committee of Powers and Privileges, and the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. In the petition, the Senator sought conservatory orders barring the Senate Committee of Powers and Privileges from proceeding with the inquiry into her conduct. The court, while certifying the matter as urgent, declined to grant the conservatory orders sought and instead ordered that the application be served and be mentioned on 21st September 2023 to confirm compliance and for further directions. The committee therefore proceeded with the inquiry as per the law. It concluded its inquiry and tabled a report before the Senate thereon on 9 August 2023, upon which a motion for the consideration of the report of the committee was debated in the following terms: that the Senate adopts the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the inquiry on its own motion into conduct of Senator Ngiruri Yorobo MP, and to establish if the conduct constituted breach of parliamentary privilege laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 9 August 2023. Honorable Senators, you recall that the debate on the motion commenced on 10th August 2023, and on 20th September 2023, the Senate, by resolution, adopted the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges. The recommendations adopted by the Senate on the matter were that, 1, pursuant to Section 17(3)(g) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017, the Senator be suspended from the House for the remainder of the second session of the 13th Parliament. And 2, pursuant to Section 17(3)(d) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017, restriction of access to the precincts of Parliament, as defined in Section 3 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017, and Standing Order 2 of the Senate Standing Orders, and withholding the use or enjoyment of any specified facility provided to members by Parliament to be applied to the Senator for the remainder of the second session of the 13th Parliament. And 3, on resumption of Senate sitting for the third session, the Senator, while at the bar, apologizes to the Senate, Honorable Senators, the Clerk of the Senate, and the Secretariat of Parliament before being admitted to the Senate, pursuant to Section 17(3)(c) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017. This resolution of the Senate was communicated to the Senator by the letter reference number SEN/RESOLS/24/2023-01, dated 20th September 2023, and was under implementation by the Senate. Honorable Senators, on 28th of September 2023, Senator Ngiruri Yorobo again filed a judicial review application number E008 of 2023 in Machakos High Court, against the Clerk of the Senate, the Speaker of the Senate Committee of Powers and Privileges, and the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. The Senator sought leave to apply for judicial review orders to quash the recommendations of the Committee of Powers and Privileges and the resolution of the Senate made on 28 September 2023. The Senator further sought orders to restrain the respondents referred to herein above from implementing the recommendations of the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges as adopted by the Senate on 28 September 2023. The Senator also sought orders to compel the respondents to give effect to Articles 10, 27, 31, 33, 36, 47, 50, and 117 of the Constitution of Kenya. On 20 September 2023, the matter was heard ex parte before the High Court at Machakos, and orders were issued whose effect was to suspend implementation of the resolution of the Senate of 20 September 2023 as contained in the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges, pending a hearing and determination of the substantive judicial review application. By a communication from the Chair to the Senate dated 5th October 2023, in the presence of Senator Gloria Roba, MP, following the resolution of the Senate to adopt the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the conduct of the Senator, and having considered this matter after taking into account previous rulings of Speakers of Parliament and the court decisions, it was the Speaker's ruling that whereas the Senate was dissatisfied with the conservatory order obtained by Senator Gloria Roba, the Senate shall comply with the said order while reserving its right to rigorously defend its position in court, and that the Senate did not breach the Constitution or any other law in arriving at its decision to suspend the Honorable Senator. Honorable Senators, Machakos High Court, JR, which means Judicial Review Application Number E283 of 2023, Gloria Roba versus AG, Clerk of the Senate, and 3 others, was subsequently transferred to the High Court at Milimani and was heard before Honorable Justice L.N. Mugambi, and judgment was delivered electronically on 15 January 2025. It was the finding of the court that the petitioner, ex parte applicant, Senator Gloria Roba, MP, was provided with the opportunity to appear and state a case, presumably even raising all the manner of preliminary issues before the 4th respondent. But she instead opted not to participate and walked out on the 4th respondent, having voluntarily refused to participate. I find that there was no infringement of right to fair administrative action or the right to fair hearing in the circumstances of this case. I thus dismiss this petition, judicial review application, with the courts to the respondents. The import of the judgment is that the court order staying the resolution of the Senate on the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges, as well as any other consequential orders in the matters filed by the Honorable Senator, have lapsed. The suspension of Senator Gloria Roba may now therefore commence. Honorable Senators, you recall that a resolution of the Senate, let me have mercy to these honorable senators. Just sit there where you are. Senator of Busia County, I did not say you extend greetings, but to find your seat. Honorable Senators, you recall that by resolution of the Senate dated 28 September 2023, Senator Roba was suspended from the House for the remainder of the 2nd session of the 13th Parliament, which session ended on 7th December 2023 as per standing order that 1-1 of the Senate standing orders, which period amounted to 79 calendar days. However, Senator Roba MP obtained leave from the court, staying the restoration of this House. By the wording of the court order, the leave granted operated a stay of the suspension of Senator Roba MP and unbarring from the Senate proceedings for the remainder of the second session of the 13th Parliament from the date of adoption of the report by the Senate in being 28 September 2023. The consequence of the stay of suspension by the High Court is that Senator Gregorio Roba MP did not serve any of her suspension as resolved by the Senate. Honorable Senators, in accordance with Section 15(7), as read together with the paragraph 4 of the third schedule of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, the responsibility for enforcing the resolution of the Senate on the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges is vested in the Speaker. Having considered this matter and taking note of the judgment delivered by the court on 15 August 2025 and the orders therein, Senator Gregorio Roba shall now forthwith commence a suspension following the resolution of the Senate of 20th September 2023 to adopt the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on her conduct. The 79 calendar days that were to be applied in the year 2023 will therefore run from today, Wednesday, 12th February 2025, to Thursday, 1st May 2025. The office of the Clerk of the Senate is directed to enforce the resolution of the Senate made on the 20th of September 2023 in the terms referred to above. I thank you. The Senator is looking at me with so, yeah, because you are looking at me and I have no recourse to what I have communicated, but on humanitarian grounds, let me give you a minute or two to say something as you commence your suspension.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this time to possibly offer my apologies to the members of this House and to the members of the staff who I might have offended as I pursued whatever I was pursuing in terms of oversight or legislation. Mr. Speaker, if there is anyone, and I know that there are people who have actually come up to me and told me that I offended them, take this as my sincere apology and truly from the bottom of my heart. And as you can see, I have learned how to present and represent people better. And it is a learning curve, Mr. Speaker. However, I do understand that also I own up my actions and I own up my space. And so therefore, as I proceed for my suspension, I do hope that those I have offended will find it in their hearts to forgive me, and that it was not my intention to put out and maybe put out the Senate to seem that I'm trying to ridicule this upper house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. As you have written yourself, for sure, it's like you are maturing. So thank you, all the best. Next order. Next order, clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Majority Leader, there is a notice of motion you are supposed to give. Senator Wakoli, you cannot ventilate on a communication from the chair.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes,
allow me to
Majority
drop
Leader.
this notice. We consulted further this morning on what needs to happen, and we'll be bringing a more substantive motion in the afternoon.
Okay.
So allow me to drop this.
Okay, fine, well guided. Next on.
Yeah.
The other notices of motion by from number 1 to number 6, Chairperson Mediation Committee on the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023. The other one is on the Chairperson Standing Committee on Education, Standing Committee on Agriculture, two notices, and also Committee on Trade, Industrialization, and Tourism. And two notices. So whether the chairs or members of those committees should be well advised.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to give notice of the following motion on the report of the Mediation Committee on the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023, that the Senate adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 5th of December, 2024, and further that pursuant to Articles 113 sub-article 2 of the Constitution and Standing Order 167.3 of the Senate approves the mediated version of the bill. I move. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Education. Chairperson, Standing Committee on Education. Senator Sigei approves the chair. Senator Sigei.
Just do it. Huh? You can read.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm a member of Education Committee, and I rise to give notice for this motion. The report of the Standing Committee of Education on a petition to the Senate regarding the Discrimination by Teachers Service Commission, TSC, on payment on hardship and enhanced house allowance to some teachers in Kilifi and Taita Taveta, the Chairperson Standing Committee on Education, that on behalf of the Chairperson Standing Committee, that the Senate adopts the report on the Standing Committee of Education on petition to the Senate regarding the Discrimination by Teachers Service Commission, TSC, on payments on hardship and enhanced house allowances to some teachers in Kilifi and Taita Taveta counties, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 8th October, laid on the table of the Senate today, February 2025. October, okay. Laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 8th October, 2024. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, Standing Committee, Senator Mundigi. Senator Mundigi. Honorable Senators, give way for Senator Mundigi to.
I arise to give notice of the following motion. Mr. Mundigi, Senator M County, report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on a petition to the Senate regarding the catastrophic means diseases that farmers in Bomet County have endured for the last 12 years. Second, I rise to give notice of the following motion. Report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on a petition on the Senate regarding graft investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, on the West Canal Irrigation Scheme. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson, Trade Committee, or any member of that committee? Senator Mondet, proceed to give notice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to give notice for the following motion on behalf of the Senate Committee on Trade, that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee of Trade, Industrialization and Tourism on a petition to the Senate regarding alleged fraudulent dealings at the Diageo PLC, East Africa Breweries Limited, Kenya Breweries and UDV Kenya Limited, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 5th December 2024. I beg to lay. Second notice, I give notice that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on the Trade, Industrialization and Tourism on a petition to the Senate on the need for the introduction of a hospitality professionals bill, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 5th December 2024. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Senator Montet. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We do not have any questions or statements, and therefore we shall proceed to the next order.
Order number 8, the Public Finance Management Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 44 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Public Finance Management Act to provide for financial management in the transfer of functions between the two levels of government pursuant to Article 187 of the Constitution and for connected purposes. Order number 9, the Public Finance Management Amendment number 4 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 45 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Public Finance Management Act and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 48 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Public Procurement Act, to amend the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act and for connected purposes. Order number 11, the Cooperatives Bill, National Assembly Bills number 7 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to establish the Office of the Commissioner for Cooperative Development at the national level of government and the Office of the County Director for Cooperatives in each county government to provide for promotion, registration, and regulation of cooperatives, to provide for intergovernmental cooperative relations, and for connected purposes.
The Majority Leader has since deferred the motion under order number 12, so we will move to the next procedural motion. call out the next order to allow the majority leader to move.
Order number 13, procedural motion, limitation of debate on motions.
Leader of majority. Give him the microphone.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the following motion, which is a limitation of debate on motions. This is a procedural motion that, pursuant to Standing Order number 111.1, the Senate resolves that the debate on a motion not sponsored by majority or minority party or a committee shall be limited in the following manner. A maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking, and further 15 minutes before the time expires. The mover shall then be called upon to reply. Mr. Speaker, this is a straightforward matter. It's just to give life to Standing Order number 111.1 on the maximum time that the Senate can take while debating a motion that has been sponsored by either the majority or the minority party. I'm trying to see if there's anybody concentrating on the minority side to second. I'm not sure whether they are, but just to try, Mr. Speaker, if Senator Ledama can multitask, I know men can hardly ever do that, Mr. Speaker, but let me give Senator Ledama to second. I second. I move. I beg to move, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is indeed important to limit debate, and the motion being proposed by the majority leader, or is it the minority leader today, is a very important motion for us to consider. So I beg to second.
Now, Honorable Senators, I propose the question that, pursuant to Standing Order 111.1, the Senate resolves that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or a committee shall be limited in the following manner. A maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. Honorable Senators, I see there are members who have made requests to contribute. Senator Wakoli and Senator Manzo, I believe. All right, then I will then proceed to put the question. Honorable Senators, I now put the question that, pursuant to Standing Order 111.1, the Senate resolves that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or a committee shall be limited in the following manner. A maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. Now, Honorable Senators, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Let's call the next order.
Order number 14, procedural motion, limitation of debate on adjournment motion.
Majority Leader, proceed to move.
I rise to move the following motion, which is the limitation of debate during an adjournment motion. That notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order number 111.4, the debate on any motion for adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day in accordance with the calendar of the Senate shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 9 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question on the adjournment. Another procedural motion, Mr. Speaker, to give life to Standing Order 111.4. I request Senator Eddie Okech to second. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Okech.
Chair, this is a procedural motion, therefore I second.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 111.4, the debate on any motion for the adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day in accordance with the calendar of the Senate shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 9 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question of adjournment. Now, Honorable Senators, similar to the motion that we've just dealt with, this is as put a procedural motion, and pursuant to Standing Order 84.2, I make a determination that this matter does not affect the counties. I do, therefore, in the absence of any member wishing to make comments to it, proceed to put the question. Therefore, Honorable Senators, I put the question that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 111.4, the debate on any motion for the adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day in accordance with the calendar of the Senate shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 90 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question of adjournment. Now, honorable members, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order, please.
Order number 15, procedural motion, limitation of debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament.
The Leader of Majority.
Speaker, this is a rise to move the following motion, which is a limitation of debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament, that pursuant to Standing Order number 27.6, the Senate resolves that the debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days, with not more than 15 minutes for each of the senators speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, who shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the majority leader and the Senate minority leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion actually that will have effect only once, because the President addresses Parliament only once a year. And it's just to limit the time. Each senator 15 minutes and 30 minutes to the majority and minority leader. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and request the Leader of Minority, Senator Manzayo, to second.
Senator Manzayo, proceed to take the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do second.
Now, honorable senators, I now propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 27.6, the Senate resolves that the debate on the motion on the presidential address shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days, with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, who shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the Senate majority leader and the Senate minority leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. Similarly, honorable members, this being a procedural motion, and in the absence of members keen on contributing to this motion, I make a determination pursuant to Standing Order 84.2 that this is a matter that does not affect counties, and therefore proceed to put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 27.6, the Senate resolves that the debate on the motion on the presidential address shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days, with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, which shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. Honorable Senators, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Honorable Senators, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 16, the Environment Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 23 of 2024, second reading. Resumption of debate interrupted on Thursday, 31st October 2024.
Honorable members, this bill was actually moved by Senator Abdul Haji, and it is a resumption of the debate that was interrupted on Thursday, 31st of October 2024. It is open to members because the members who had spoken to it is Senator Haji as well as the seconder Senator Chirargei. Honorable members, it's open for you to contribute to it. Give the Leader of Majority the microphone.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. This is an extremely important bill because environment is quickly gaining its rightful place in the global conversation, Mr. Speaker, on how to take care of our environment. And there's no bigger conversation in the world right now, actually, that I can imagine that attracts more attention, more than the management of our environment. And we continue to face many challenges, Mr. Speaker, as a country, because of how we have treated this subject with either contempt or lack of serious significance, not knowing full well the effects or the changes and of a change in the environment due to poor management. This act or this bill, Mr. Speaker, wants to amend the Forest Conservation and Management Act so as to make further provisions for afforestation and reforestation in Kenya, to promote tree planting in all counties, to amend the Climate Change Act as well, so that you provide for the settling and formulation of strategies to achieve the annual carbon sequestration targets and connected purposes. Two very important topics. You will recall, Mr. Speaker, that the President has led the country in a rallying call to try and achieve this country to plant 15 billion trees by the year 2030, Mr. Speaker. And I know that previously, I have seen updates actually from the Ministry of Environment, but of late, I don't know how well we are doing. All I know is that occasionally I see cabinet secretaries dress in those khaki clothes and they visit various parts of the country, Mr. Speaker, and plant trees, then disappear. The unfortunate thing, Mr. Speaker, is that this has not been extended to the other arms of the government. And I hope as a leadership, and leadership here means everybody who has responsibility, we could actually buy into this clarion call so that in any area that is under jurisdiction, I'd wish, for example, to see the Chief Justice lead all staffers and members of the bench in the judiciary on such an exercise, because the environment is for all of us. It shouldn't be left to the national government alone and the cabinet minister and the PSs, Mr. Speaker, sorry, to actually try and achieve these targets. The same applies to us here in Parliament. I don't know how many people are aware. I don't know if I was to ask Senator for Makueni off the top of your head, if you're aware of what your targets are as a county, what is the percentage of afforestation in your county? What is it that you need to do? What are the targeted areas? I know that there is a climate action group. I think it's led by Senator Moses Kajwang, if I'm not wrong. And I challenged him because I met him in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, during COP26. And he was properly kitted in a very nice suit, and he said, this year, Majority Leader, I want to be a climate champion, and I want to speak to you so that you appreciate. And I know that subsequently they went to Dubai, but I want him to extend his activities beyond the conferences and really challenge us. I appreciate his zeal and energy in terms of ensuring that you make all your colleagues climate woke. That is a term that young people use for people that are conscious and aware of what needs to happen in our climate environment. And I wish that Senator Moses Kajwang was here when you're discussing this bill, Mr. Speaker, so that he leads us into appreciating what role we can play as legislators as well. Because many times I have seen us join in on the efforts that are being carried out by members of the executive alone. I believe that as a legislature, we need to have a more impressive record and our contribution into making our environment better. I know, for example, I have visited many parliaments, and some of the most beautiful parliaments that you visit, Mr. Speaker, are those that have even taken care of the environment better. I think this institution, ours, the campus of this Parliament of Kenya, scores very poorly on that particular rank because we felled almost all trees, and there's hardly any tree within the corridors and the parliamentary square. And we need to begin even from our own institution just to set an example of a dedication of the percentage of the total land that belongs to Parliament here, Mr. Speaker, that we plant trees that 20, 50 years down the line, people can recall. I believe on important days, Mr. Speaker, Senate should lead actually in.
Honorable Senators, if you are consulting, please do so in low tones to allow the Leader of Majority to contribute in peace. For those who are interrupting with loud engagements within the chamber. Proceed, Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I was explaining that as Parliament, we have a responsibility that perhaps part of the things that we can consider on special days and special occasions, when things happen, and when we have dignitaries, occasionally we have presidents and heads of governments who visit Parliament. Apart from these traditional rites of coming to lay flowers at the grave of a founding father of the nation, an important exercise, Mr. Speaker, I believe that they should be able to plant trees as well, Mr. Speaker. And we set up a good corner for them so that we continue to lead as an example and Parliament does not look as bare as it looks today. This bill, Madam Speaker, proposes actually a further amendment actually to the Forest Conservation and Management Act by promotion of afforestation and reforestation in arid and semi-arid parts of the country. Extremely important, Mr. Speaker, because I know for a fact that our arid and semi-arid parts of the country needs that particular challenge. I know Forest Conservation Management Act is also being amended, meaning that you're introducing now a person who shall be authorized to replace each harvested tree in accordance with the directions of the service, Madam Speaker, so that each time we fell trees, and I'm not sure, but I think it's still on. I know that I think 3 or 4 years ago there was a ban on logging, despite the fact that logging is an extremely important industry. You need to counterbalance that, Mr. Speaker, so that for every tree that you fell, there should be a commensurate number of those that you plant, Madam Speaker. This is an extremely important bill, Mr. Speaker, that is being brought actually by one of the senators that comes from an extremely arid region. And I'm extremely happy by what Senator Abdul is doing, because despite coming from Garissa, a county whose forest cover, I want to believe, is hardly maybe 3 or 4%, I'm not very certain, that he's leading in the effort of trying to make those parts of the country also be properly, have good forest cover. And it is possible, because we have seen this done in other parts of the world that are even more arid than Garissa, where Senator Abdul comes. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, is on this issue of settling and formulation of strategies to achieve the annual carbon sequestration targets and for connected purposes. Mr. Speaker, that is an important conversation as well. I know with the coming in of President Trump in America, and he's very radical in the opposite way views on how to do climate management, the world will be affected, Mr. Speaker, because of companies that will now perhaps not feel the urge to meet their share of trying to be environmentally sustainable in their practices, Mr. Speaker. But I don't believe that money alone was the only motivation, and I don't believe that this was a responsibility of one country. The rest of all of us, the countries that believe in a green and a more sustainable environment, Mr. Speaker, should carry on the dream. Who knows, in other years to come, some of these countries that today do not see the need to lead these efforts, Mr. Speaker, will be calling upon us, you know, to assist them in one way or the other. Therefore, I want to lend my support into this very noble exercise of ensuring that actually each county achieves their targets. And Senator Abdul will lay out bare the strategies that the various county governments will do so to ensure that we achieve that particular regard. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those many comments, I'd wish to leave it at that. I know that Section 21 has provided for the functions of forestry on the county government, which includes something very important, and which is 21C, which is the preparation of an annual report with the approval of the county assembly. That is, our county assemblies will actually confirm, you know, that report on the activities of the county government in relation to this act and any national policies for forest management, so that each governor can actually give an account of basing on all the activities, because all these forestation and afforestation activities, Mr. Speaker, they happen in counties. And it is important for county governments to give an account and say, in our county, we have achieved our target to have grown from this number to the other. And the county assembly members who come from the various wards that make up a county to affirm and share that report. I don't know whether, Senator Abdul, it is possible to push and ensure that those reports are actually filed with the Senate, apart from just being approved in the National Assembly, so that we are also custodians of the reports that come from these county assemblies. With those many remarks, I beg to support. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Senator Wambua Enoch.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support this bill, the Environment Laws Amendment Bill 2024, being sponsored by a brother or friend, Senator from Garissa. Mr. Speaker, I want to make a few comments on the whole issue around environmental conservation and climate change in relation to this bill. To begin with, Mr. Speaker, I think a way must be found, now than ever before, to move from this archaic way of doing things in terms of tree planting, where we set aside a day, we say today is a tree planting day, we go and buy trees from nurseries, we distribute those trees to people, they go plant the trees and they go. As a Speaker, you can be very sure, if one tree out of 20 that are planted survives, it's a miracle. As Speaker, we need to begin to take tree planting a little bit more seriously, and for people, for leaders to be hands-on in dealing with this matter of climate change and environmental conservation. So, Speaker, I want to thank Senator Aji for proposing this bill. And as the majority leader said, I wish some space will be found either expressly or implicitly, Mr. Speaker, in this bill to ensure that we as leaders take the front row in pushing forward the agenda of environmental conservation. I have this in mind, Mr. Speaker. The place to begin in ensuring that then the ideals of these executives succeed in planting 15 billion trees by 2030 would be to begin with our own homes. That, the Speaker, every senator in this Senate has a place that they call home. If every senator would establish a forest of their own definition at their own home, whether it is 20 trees or 30 trees or 50 trees or 100 trees, and nurture those trees, Mr. Speaker, to maturity. Then we will begin to speak to other people about forest cover and about conserving our environment. The next stop, Mr. Speaker, and this is important, would be to move to our immediate environment in the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya. So, Speaker, I want to challenge the mover of this, the promoter of this bill, to work closely with the administration of Parliament and make sure that this Senate, each senator gets a tree, a seedling, and we grow them within this environment, within the compound of Parliament, and make sure that the remaining 2.5 years, each senator nurtures their own seedling to maturity. So, Speaker, if we begin that way, then we'll be giving effect to serious environmental conservation. Because, Mr. Speaker, conserving our environment and increasing our forest cover will not happen in boardrooms. It will not happen, Mr. Speaker, on the floor of this Senate. It will happen on the ground, real trees being grown by real people, and those trees, Mr. Speaker, being nurtured to maturity. The next step, Mr. Speaker, would be for us as leaders, as senators. Each senator in this Senate is a former student in a primary school somewhere in this country. What about, Mr. Speaker, each one of us retreating to our respective primary schools? It will mean that there will be, at the very least, 67 primary schools in the Republic where we establish forests sponsored and spearheaded by senators, Mr. Speaker. Then, if that is achieved, Mr. Speaker, now we can begin to talk to the public about environmental conservation. Mr. Speaker, even as I support this bill, I am reminded, those of us who went to school to primary school when President Moi was in office, he had a very serious clarion call on environmental conservation. That time, it was being called, was dealing with soil erosion. In Kiswahili, they called it momonyoko wa udongo. And I remember the former president went around the country, literally building gabions, stopping, soil erosion. I remember very fondly when he visited Kitui. At that time, I was a very small boy. And he went to a place called Chane. Chane is in Matinyane ward of Kitui West constituency. And he helped to build gabions just to stop soil erosion. Now, Speaker, this exercise of conserving our environment, increasing forest cover, making sure that we have a country that attains a better percentage of forest cover is an exercise that, Mr. Speaker, must now, better than ever before, move from boardrooms, from the floor of the House, to where that need needs to be addressed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I say